Hi, everyone. It's Cricket Barrientos with Sounds of Autism, and we are so grateful to have Mayor Eric Orsborn from the city of Buckeye here today on our podcast, Spectrum Talks and Tips. Hi, Mayor. How are you today?
Hello, I'm doing great. Thank you for having me on.
Thank you for allowing us to have this conversation. I know you're busy, but I think it's super important that our community realizes the support that you have given the autism population over the last, oh my gosh, it's been a long time, like really, like maybe
Yeah.
10 or 15 years with us. So thank you for being a part of that. The city of Buckeye has made a very big impact on supporting mental and behavioral health communities, especially under your leadership. I know Councilmember Craig Hustis as well was very instrumental in championing our cause. You were both true responders of autism and others at risk. How did you get your leaders and yourself to really want to get behind something like a unified responder community?
Well, I think it was easy for us once we realized that there's a need for something like that, and I think a lot of it stemmed from maybe personal experiences or a specific incident that we had in the city of Buckeye, where we realized that maybe we weren't providing the training necessary for some of our first responders in identifying autism and identifying somebody that might be in need and treating that person a little bit differently than somebody else that may be showing similar signs but is dealing with something completely different. And and so with the incident and then realizing that there are more and more people all the time that are dealing with autism in our community, and those are families in our community and our constituents and our neighbors and our friends and our loved ones. And so it was very, very easy to get the leaders of Buckeye on board with this and make sure that we're providing the training and the mentorship and the relationship building that we need to between our first responders, our electeds, and then in the community that's dealing with autism.
Thank you, Mayor. And I know you speak of incidents that occur. Every city has had incidents where we have responded in certain ways that we may not be grateful, or
Mhm.
happy about. But the honest to God truth is, the city of Buckeye has done such an amazing job in, using any type of incident that you may have had. You never just leave it there and just hope it goes away. Like you guys have tackled it, and nationally, you've made an impact on people that you don't even realize. So, we're so grateful for that. And a lot of our training that we give to officers, educators, community leaders, families, a lot of it stems from the community that you guys have and the things that you're doing. And I think you really have set the bar, and there's a lot of people that could rise to the top with you.
Yeah.
And we're hoping that this interview will help people see that it doesn't matter if you respond correctly or you don't. That there's always something that we can learn from it and take and utilize for other for the future and for other people that might need that help. I believe a leader in your position has the power to choose a lot of what you want to support. You do not have to make this choice to meet with me or support this cause, but you do. And what along your leadership path did you learn that truly made you lead with compassion for others? When did that happen for you?
Well, you say I didn't have to choose to meet with you. There's no way we wouldn't meet with you, Cricket. Are you kidding? You're special people. I think um, I I think it's just experiences that I've had in some of the not necessarily training, but life. I guess kind of like life training as you go through having friends growing up that maybe needed a little bit something extra special or experience at church and giving back to the community and wanting to serve those that are less fortunate or in need in some way. And and then growing into a position like this and wanting to make Buckeye really the model city for all things, and taking really good lessons from folks that have done it well, and then also learning from people that have not done a very good job at it. And I mean, it all goes back to um, these are whether it's the first responders that are dealing with it, those are friends and family and neighbors, and the people that are in need are friends and families and neighbors, and it really doesn't matter what the cause is. There's a lot of needs out there, and my heart hurts for folks that are having to deal with this every day. Or we liken it to the other programs that we have within the community, like the dementia friendly community that we have, and that's a same kind of thing. It's making sure that we're getting people that are dealing with that together with the first responders and the entire community, so that everyone understands what's happening, and we can come at it a lot more educated all together, and trying to help people the best that we can as a community.
I'm going to go to my next question in a second here, but I want to backtrack for a second because there's things that you don't know about why we recently presented you with a unified award. So there was, I mean, the first step was when I asked to meet with you, and this is, I think, the first meeting that we've had. It was you and at the time councilperson Hustis, and it was in the middle of COVID. And you guys opened your doors. I mean, you were dealing with so much during that time. Everybody was. And you still took the time to say, yes, we'll meet with you. And I shared my concerns about, just we need to become more adaptive in the West Valley. It was all the cities. We just needed to see more with mental behavioral health because we knew that autism was growing. And back then, I don't even know what the statistics were, but now it's 1 in 31 individuals. And this is based off of data from 2022 that were taken on 11 sites for 8-year-old children. So this statistic is very like way out there. It's not the most current, and we're seeing it. And we took an oath as a nonprofit 15 years ago that we weren't going to focus on why, because we may never figure that out, but what can we do as a society. And I realized, my son's 23 now. It's easier to change the world and get the world to see the need than it is for me to try to change my son. And so that's why we're doing this. You also have a fire department, and I know Buckeye has two, I believe, but this particular person, and I forget the name. I think it's Reyes, but I'm not positive. Anyway, he was at an event this weekend, and I saw him, and I go, I haven't seen you since. We were at a networking meeting with Rachel Sanders at the senior center, and I know she's retired now. And he had talked about this project that he was working on with the police department, where the fire department and the police department would speak on a weekly basis, whatever it was, about calls for service that dealt with mental and behavioral health solutions, right? And when he talked about this, he stated that instead of this being a reactive program, that they were going to make a proactive program, and they would go out and visit these homes after a crisis or after a call for service and just check up on individuals. Are they taking their meds? Are they
Yeah.
feeling okay? Is this something? And I'm like, oh my gosh, like this program needs to be everywhere. So
Yeah.
anyway, I saw him at this event and I walked up to him. Do you know who I'm speaking of, by the way?
I think so.
Yeah. So I walked up to him and I said, I just want to tell you that every time I get a chance to speak to our public in large or small, rooms, it doesn't matter. I always talk about your program. And I
Mm-hmm.
said, because I feel, we have a crisis team and we have a police team. And a lot of times you'll hear crisis is 2 hours in delay. They can't respond immediately. And the police departments are, they got to get back on the streets because many of them are understaffed. And a lot of times there's bigger calls, right? They have things they got to go to, but nobody wants to leave a mental health situation. So they're going to stay on that call until they figure out who's coming to support this, right?
Yeah.
And so I said, if we had done it the way that you guys are doing it, I mean, this has been years now.
Yeah.
And I think it's called Buckeye Cares. Am I correct with that? It's like Buckeye. There's a specific name for it, and I think it's Buckeye Cares or something like that. It was just actually on the news this morning, and I go, "Oh my gosh, that's exactly what I'm talking about."
Yeah.
I'm going to continue pushing this, and
Yeah.
there's going to be a day where I'm going to ask you to come up and talk to people about it because this proactive response with your departments and doing it this way and the fire and police, I know they always banter back and forth about we're better,
Right.
I get that. My husband's an officer.
Yeah.
But the reality is even though there's that bantering and it's all in fun, when it comes to these two populations coming together, they're doing it and they're doing such an amazing job. And I know your chiefs and I know the departments, and it's just you guys have something very unique and very special. And I just want to say congratulations on that because it doesn't happen in every city. It just doesn't.
And I
So
think that's just a culture here, and that runs through staff, and they really handle that. And then I get to take all kinds of credit for it, and I don't do anything on it. But
yes, you do. Yes, you
it
do. I know you're so humbled, but you do.
it's
You
just
know,
creating that environment where they can do that, and trying to be proactive like that in all situations related to health, not just behavioral health, but health in general. They've got a community paramedicine program also that as people are dealing with something coming out of the hospital, they can call and set up consults with our there's two folks in that department right now that go out and meet with people instead of flashing lights and sirens and everything else showing up in a crisis moment. They can come in and check on, are you taking your medication right? Is your home safe for you to navigate through with whatever you have going on? Is there any questions we can ask? And it's developing that relationship with them ahead of time, not only community paramedicine, but behavioral health and dementia and all of these different things that we're just trying to think about how we can do this a different way so it's not always a crisis that we're reacting to.
yeah, because sometimes when that crisis is occurring, just how we respond to it could be a trigger, right? And
Yeah.
that's the concerns that we have, and that's what we try to do is educate the community. We had a great turnout. We did this with Adelante Healthcare this weekend, and it was a great turnout. And everybody there, I mean, you had kids from the high school in Westmick and all the volunteers, and it was just an amazing group of people and everybody worked together. And it was awesome for me because I got to see a lot of people I haven't seen in a long time. And one family actually in Buckeye came up to me and she said, Cricket, you helped me get my son diagnosed 5 years ago. And she's like, and we're on such a great journey that now I'm volunteering to help support others with, getting help. And I thought that was just an amazing testimonial, because you never know who you impact. And I know you have so many people. I tell my husband on the way to get coffee this morning, I said, this is one of my favorite mayors. And I said, and I can't wait to interview you. So thank you for being here. In 2025, Sounds of Autism presented the city of Buckeye with a Unified Responder Community Award. This was earned by completing an unannounced rubric that we created in 2020 with multiple college students to address how adaptive the city of Buckeye and other West Valley leaders were responding amongst first responders, educational leaders, nonprofits, and city managers. We began our journey to unify as a West Valley city and possibly throughout the state of Arizona eventually. We learned quickly the West Valley of Arizona had some awesome leaders and get things done quickly. When we ask, they respond. I always learned that most people open their doors to our initiatives even wider than I anticipated. We ask them to give a few, things. Can you look for more mental behavioral health solutions within your city? Stuff like that. Simpler than where you guys meaning the mayor, city council, your leaders come together and discuss these things and say, how can we be better? And in the city of Buckeye, there's been a lot of families, and you may not be aware of all of them because many of our families, they stay behind closed doors. But we've had some pretty serious crisis calls where, them wanting to take their lives, families not knowing where to turn, We've had quite a few, and Buckeye seems to be one of the cities that, when we talk about crisis, that's where they're living, and that's a testimonial, because I think they feel comfortable there. Anyway, long story short, we've been able to support these families on their journey, and even your school districts, between your elementary school districts, and your high school districts, your superintendents are so involved with these families and really trying to find the best solutions to raise individuals that have disabilities, within the city, and people aren't leaving your school districts. I don't get calls saying I am not happy with the school districts. I want to move my child to a specialized school. We don't get those calls. And that's, like I said, that's a testimonial of your leadership and all of the people that are working for you. So I don't know if you knew why you received this, but there has been this rubric where we're checking the boxes and just making sure that all of these things were being done, and that the response time of our leaders, and we call it our ACRE population, autism at risk families, community leaders, responders, and education. So we say one step, one city, one acre at a time. All of your responders in that acre population have responded within 24 to 48 hours to the needs of our families. And that's what we were measuring. How quickly and how effective was it? And did our families feel like they were heard? And the answer is yes. So, thank you and congratulations for being a unified responder community. It takes somebody with compassion, and trust, and somebody that really wants to respond. And our families notice that. And I can tell you, going out to my event on Saturday in Buckeye, there were a lot of people that came over to our table to just say thank you for what you're doing. And I thought that was amazing, because I know you guys are pushing our information in your city. So thank you for doing that.
My
I
pleasure.
want to follow up really quickly, unless you have something to respond to on that. I would love to hear if you do. And if not, we can go on to the next question.
I do. Well, thank you for saying all that, and that could make a politician become emotional when you're hearing about the effect that you have in the community. Just a story about after we did the proclamation, and then you guys provided the award. That was all recorded, and I had a community member come up and say, "Hey, that had such a big effect on us," and didn't know exactly why, but this is I think they are retired. They live in the Victory community in Verrado, and she said we have a son who has autism and lives in California, and we've been trying to talk to him about coming out to the city of Buckeye. And she said I showed him that clip of what the award you guys got and the proclamation that you made, and he said something to the effect of, and I'm going to mess it up, and we could do fact checking with them later on, but it was something along the lines of, do you think that they would be open to having somebody like me in the community? And that first breaks my heart that somebody would feel like they weren't welcome in a community, but then really warms my heart that we're, I think, making a difference and bringing families together potentially if he can move out this way and they can be closer, where they have that support system for one another. So, I mean, something as simple as broadcasting that on our Facebook channel, where she has the opportunity to see what you're talking about and us pushing out the information of how important it is that we are that unified response community. That just thrills me to know that stuff is happening.
And I'm so glad you brought that story up, because I meet people every day, but they called me and they said
Oh,
that you had given our information. And I was
yeah,
like, oh my gosh, I'm so excited.
yeah.
Those things are amazing to me. When I write grants, people will ask me to give data about how many people do we touch in a year. And this year, I asked my team, because we have all these different legs of our program now. So we're really running 4 umbrella programs under one umbrella. And each one has a designated director, executive director. So when we pull all of our team together and we look at the data, the amount of people we touch, reach, support, whatever it might be. I wanted that information, and I don't want anything duplicated, right? I just want unduplicated people that we've touched over the last, month or 2 months, whatever. And we record it. So just in January, because I wanted to see just in January, and there were two executive directors that didn't even report because they were doing minimal things right at the time, right? They were doing a lot of just research and development type stuff. We touched over 10,000 people in the West Valley.
Wow.
10,000 people. And people are like, there's no way you're touching 10,000 people. And I said, I'll show you. I'll show you every meeting that we've had. I'll show you every networking event that we've gone to where we spoke in front of people. We just trained the library and special cares, health and wellness in Glendale. We trained 100, I think it was like 100 people that we trained. And it was just teaching them simple steps to how to respond to this community. And we gave them some de-escalation tools. I have 825 medical students that I'll be training at Midwestern over a 5-week period. And if we do well and they like our program, we'll get to go to Chicago and do it again. Like
Wow.
those are the types of people and those are the types of audiences that we're touching. And what are we doing? We're not teaching them how to give medicine or things like that. We teach them how to support this population and how to do a better job opening the doors to ensure that these individuals have jobs after high schools, educational programs. How do they create a more adaptive program? And some of this stuff, I don't have to do the work. You guys are already doing it, which is amazing to me. But anyway, I would like to follow up the question that we just talked or we had. What would you say to other city leaders or just leaders in general about the importance of becoming a unified community where you're supporting all populations and making sure when you write policies or you write anything that we're including everybody? Like, what would you say to those that might be watching? Because we're all over the world, Mayor. We're in Pakistan, Canada, Africa. People are seeing us all over. What would you say to those leaders that are watching this today?
Well, it's incredibly important, and for us, what we find is when we're all aligned, things work a lot better. Um, and that and for me specifically, that unified approach and making sure everybody understands their roles and are trained up on things, it makes my position so much easier because that is just something that's ingrained in the culture of our community as we're responding to stuff. Um, and I think we want to come at it. You mentioned that compassion. We want to come at it from the understanding first, but when there is crisis, uh, you call and then we come in with understanding how to deal with specifically that crisis. So there's a lot less, um, I guess, angst in the community about how do we deal with this on all sides of the equation. I'm not worried about something that is going to really flare up a certain segment of the community. The responders know exactly how to respond, and then the population that's dealing with autism knows here's what we can expect when somebody shows up, and it's someone that's trained and knows exactly how to handle the situation.
Yeah.
So all of that makes all of our lives so much easier, and so it is very, very important to be a unified community.
Thank you. I don't know if you knew, but we assumed a 1,300 square foot crisis training and distribution center out in Goodyear at the ball, not by the ballpark, but kind of by the ballpark. The flight, it's called the flight. It's out by the air park,
Oh yeah.
and we went out there because I wanted to have some place that was available 24/7, and they're open 365 days a week, 24/7. You can come and go as you need to. But this was created so in the middle of the night, if our victim advocates or our crisis teams needed something, whether it was a hygiene product or whatever it may be, that they could just walk in and get what they needed. And we created this. Now it's on a smaller scale. I know you guys have Myrna's place in your location, but Myrna and I have been connected for a very long time. She has a way larger program than I do when it comes to distribution. So I said, Myrna, when we run out, we need help. And she said, no problem. And so we have a partnership now where she will help continue giving us the needs that we have to keep things supplied. Our officers and our firefighters, our victim advocates, if they need to go out, I had a family in Buckeye. She had 7 kids. They had no Christmas presents. On Christmas Eve, one of the people in the city of Buckeye called me, somebody I work with, a partner, and he said, "Cricket, I need gifts." And I said, "I have a whole warehouse. Go in." So I gave him the code. He went in and he got everything he needed, and just told me on Saturday when I saw him, oh my gosh, that family was so excited because we were able to give them last minute gifts on Christmas Eve,
Yeah.
right? But it takes a community. We all have to work together. And so she does that. And now she has the TSW programs from the Unified School. And we're going to have our team come out and they're going to partner to work together. And we're just going to work and bridge those gaps
Yeah.
so that we all can help one another. And that's our unified message, is that the competition goes away. We don't compete with each other. If you get funding, you get funding. If you don't, you don't. That's just how it goes. But we can't base it off of that. If we're doing the nonprofit work that we should be doing, it's about giving back and helping and supporting. It's not about all the dollars. And it's a very competitive industry. I was in restaurants my whole career. And when I got into the nonprofit world, I was like, whoa, this is even more competitive than
Right.
and people, I get it. People are worried, because they have to keep their funding going, but I think it makes us stronger working together. And our families need to know that we are working together, because there's a lot of our families that they stay out of the light of, the people because they're afraid and they don't feel anybody understands. There's a lot of people that feel alone. And this is why I create ambassadors, for our program. So we definitely consider you as an ambassador, you and your city council and your educators, because you all push, for people to reach out to us. Do you know anyone living with autism?
We have friends of friends that we know and see the effects of that. And then like the story that I told you about the family that had contacted, or
Yeah.
the folks living in Victory that had contacted us. Uh, we don't have um, we don't have somebody that's like in our immediate family, but I think everybody,
Is
it's 1 or 2 degrees of separation from somebody that's dealing with autism.
You're the second mayor out of the 10 in the West Valley that will be interviewing. And we interviewed Mayor Pizzillo from Goodyear. And I asked him the same question. And he said, no, I don't really know anybody. I know of people, but it doesn't affect me
Yeah,
directly. And I said, those are the most exciting answers that I get, because it shows that it doesn't matter, that you're still going to respond to this community and you're looking for ways to make their lives easier.
right.
And there's nothing forcing you to do that, or you don't feel obligated to do that. It's just you want to do that. Like, you have that compassion
Yeah,
for the community, and you want to help everybody. And you talked a lot about dementia.
yeah,
We have supported from prenatal till the end of life, all mental and behavioral health. We work with now domestic violence, women coming out of incarceration. We haven't done men yet, but women. And when they're coming out, after 18 years of, being away from civilian life, they come back and they don't know the basic skills of life, job, and safety. So our programs actually benefit others, not just the autism population. We're just building it off of autism, which is great because we have to cover a lot of areas. But it just really is, in dementia, we're doing a lot with senior citizens with Sun Health, where they're putting together assembling some of our items for the warehouse. And it gives them their therapy. They're telling me, Cricket, I don't have to do my hand therapy today because I did it with you. And I'm like, perfect,
right.
So, and when I talked to your firefighter, he said there's a lot of stuff they're doing, and invited me to come to some of the meetings and get more involved with some of your senior populations out in city of Buckeye. I said, great, this is awesome. So, I
I,
know, go ahead. I was going to say, I
yeah,
want you to respond.
I know. And as you asked that question, I thought, no, I don't. But then thinking about it as you're talking, and maybe this goes to how well the people that we know that have kids with autism have done at integrating them in, and so it's not it's not it's not like something that's a really bad thing and you see it every time and oh my gosh, they're having to deal with that. They've done such a great job at bringing them into the family and engaging and putting them into a very, very productive life moving forward. Completely slipped my mind that I do know somebody that has a functioning granddaughter that is autistic, and and it kind of slips away because you see there's, I guess, the entire spectrum, and some are high functioning and some are needing a lot of care. Uh, Completely slipped my mind on that, but I know if I didn't mention that and this got out and he watched it, he would probably
I'd be
say, "Hey,
like,
wait
what
a
are you
minute,
talking about?
yeah."
But you know what?
But it's not
I'm,
something that's so top of mind because
yeah.
of how well they've done at integrating her into just a very productive life.
And Mayor, you said something really, I mean, honestly, and it's crazy, but the city of Buckeye, most of my families have girls, which is crazy.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
Girls tend to mask. So right now they say 1 in 65 boys out of autism population have autism. It's 1 in 65. I mean, 65% are boys and the remainder is girls. And I never understood that, but later I found out that the girls mask. They do a better job hiding their autism from others. They don't want the diagnosis. There's a lot that goes on with that. So it's not unusual that that would slip your mind because honestly, many of the female populations within autism, they're undiagnosed many times.
Mm.
20% of the women coming out of incarceration were undiagnosed autism that I've worked
Wow.
with. 20%.
Wow.
And when I was talking to one of the legislators about this, they said we need to know more about that because we should be looking at that, why they're
Right.
incarcerated, to see if that when we do the exit strategy that we have a good plan and it supports their needs. And I said, we're not looking at that. Like that surprises me after all this time of, the statistics. So it is something that we're hoping that we can push. I'm going to meet with, I think her name is Legislator Annalisa Ortiz.
Yes. Yeah.
You know who I'm speaking of?
Yeah. Yep.
And she and I are going to meet, and I'm going to talk to her a little bit more about this because I think it's something that should be um, looked at, right? Because when we're giving a strategy to exit and be successful and sustainable, and they don't have that diagnosis, their sensory issues could cause them to go right back to the addictions and everything else just
Right.
because of their literal thinking.
Yeah.
And so this is something we're pushing for, and that's why I broke this up into all these different um, entities under our umbrella. It's because I wanted to make sure that we covered all the different acre populations separately, but then tied those knots together. Anyway, I know it's 9:35 and I don't want to keep you much longer here, but I just want to say, thank you. I'm going to say this for you. You are a responder of autism, and we are very proud of that. You have done a great job leading, but you've also done a great job pulling in all of those different populations. I know everybody that I speak to in your city loves you, absolutely loves you.
Uh,
I hope you're around for a long time. And if not, that you replace yourself with somebody just as great. But thank you and your family too. I know your wife is at all of our events and we really appreciate, you guys showing up. We do have a huge event coming up in November. It's going to be at the same location we always have it at the Goodyear Ballpark, but this one is going to be a drone racing event. And
oh,
the
wow.
city of Buckeye will be participating. Your officers will be there.
Okay.
It's first responders, and it's going to be the Grand Prix of drone races. So this is going to be people from all over the world. A lot of military guys coming out. Luke Air Force is on base, on board, and we will have over probably 5,000 people at this event. So it's going to be a
Wow.
changer upper, and it's going to be, one of those. So hopefully you'll get to be out there and support
Yes,
that as well. Um,
definitely.
and we'd love to have you, do an interview or something then too. So
Would love to.
thank you so much for your time. I know you're busy.
Yeah, Cricket. Thank you. Thank you for everything that you are doing. We sure appreciate you also.
You got it. And as soon as this is done, I'll send it to you. Okay.
Okay, great.
Thank you. You have a great day.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.